town hall style meeting to talk about the historic flood that's affected our city and surrounding area. As I stand here today and frankly try to remember what day of the week it is, I got to say that it certainly feels like forever ago that this flooding has occurred. And approximately 2 weeks ago today, North Boulevard was closed off at initially 115. 11 days ago, our lift station off of Leeson and Division was overtaken by the flood. I'm very proud, though, to say that within relatively a very short period of time, there has been a lot of significant progress made, including getting people together that can really help to provide information to the public on where assistance can be sought. And some of that information has been going out through news releases. News releases go out to all the area media. They also get posted on our website and Facebook site. But it's really been incredible to see the community come together. Now with some of the conditions improving, of course, as they say, that it's raining out, and information available to provide, this is really the perfect time to have this type of meeting where there could be meaningful updates as to where we were, where we are, what we envision the future's going to hold. And we've got all the right people here in the leadership here this evening to help provide those updates. I will say that a lot of those same people over the last couple of weeks, frankly, were working all day and all night out in the field and just not be able to be a part of this type of facility here tonight. After we have briefings by leadership, we are going to have plenty of time for a question and answer session. Additionally, folks that are here to help provide assistance and resources have tables set up in the back. There are materials for you to pick up. If materials are run out, don't worry, we will have things available electronically. And I'll encourage everyone to visit Cadillac Facebook page as well as the flood resource page that we'll hear more about this afternoon as well. Before I introduce our first official this afternoon, I must acknowledge our Mayor, David Powell, Mayor Cindy Cadillac, who is right here. He has been out there slinging sandbags. Absolutely amazing effort and level of engagement. We also have other elected officials here. I saw Lieutenant French right in the front. Are there other elected officials representing the city of Cadillac and or other surrounding units of government here? If so, please stand up so that the public and folks can recognize you being here. Selma Township. Selma Township and Living Sewer Authority Chair. Selma Township Supervisor. Selma Township Supervisor. And Brian Elbas, council member of City of Cadillac, is in the back. Thank you very much for being here this evening. Thank you for helping to try to get the messaging out to your constituents. I am sure this is not something that any of you thought you'd be dealing with the first hearing for office, which is essentially a volunteer position to deal with such a historic national disaster as this flood that has taken out a lot of our area. Moving on and trying to keep this at a quick clip. The first official this afternoon that I'm going to invite up here to provide an update is Eric King. Eric King is the Western County Emergency Manager. He is the top local official when it comes to managing emergencies, such as the one that we're experiencing today. Eric is also going to be, as a part of his briefing, introducing Lieutenant DeCastro from the Michigan State Police Emergency Management Office, as well as a gentleman that's here from the National Weather Service. Eric? Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Eric King, I'm the Western County Emergency Manager. First and foremost, I want to express that my focus is not just on the city of Cadillac, it is on the county as a whole. We are still in the response phase. We still have areas that are inaccessible and roads that are impassable. But to residents of East Plant and Lake Mitchell and Cadillac, we see you in our efforts to focus on the wall. So I'll be giving briefness and overview to include action statement and next steps, but before doing so, I'd like to introduce Mr. Joe Delizio from the National Weather Service to give a brief overview of the sort of flood event that we're organizing. So,
all right. My name is Joe Delizio from the National Weather Service in Cadillac, Michigan. Take a couple of minutes here just to do a quick overview of the weather scenario and why this flooding has been so historic. So really to address this flooding, the main rain event that caused a lot of the impacts was in the middle of April, a couple weeks ago. Now to really address that, there's a couple of months or a month and a half worth of water we have to talk about, because that really set the stage. So really you had to kind of go back to the beginning of March. We had an extremely active month that ranged from several inches of snow. So I know we had freezing rain, ice overhead down here as well, and just an active pattern in general. So we had a lot of water in the system throughout the entire month of March. And really it goes back a little bit further into the winter where we had a pretty decent snowpack. Near Cadillac, especially down to the north of the area as well. We're up in Greater Wexford and Calcasieu County area. So we get 2 to 3 times your normal precipitation in March, combined with snow melt at the end of the month. Your soils are nearly saturated at that point. And then we continue with an active pattern to the early portions of April as well. The first 7 days we had another couple of inches of rain overall. And so at that point the soil is pretty primed. It's pretty soaked. I like to use the analogy of a sponge. When the sponge is dry, it'll soak up a lot of the water. That's like your soils. Or sandy soils out here when they're dry, they do a good job of absorbing a lot of the rain that falls. But when it's soaked, and when there's rain that falls on top of that soaked soil, that saturated soil, it's not going to absorb much of anything. It's all going to run off. And so that's kind of what happened. That set the stage for the event between April 11th to 14th to 15th, somewhere around there. We had a several-day period of 6 inches or more of rain. And again, that's not being absorbed into the groundwater. That's just being run off and displaced from the river system and the lakes. And that really was sort of the killer as far as the flooding goes. We saw around like 6 inches or more across the county. Heaviest was just the north of Cadillac here. But again, the damage was done there. As far as some of the river systems, the Manistee River rose to 19.5 feet for a crest. The previous record was 16.9, so we shattered that record. That just shows how moist it was, how much rain we got, how much snow melt we can have as well. So it's kind of a perfect storm over the last month and a half, with rain, snow melt, and then really convective rains. I can throw out a couple of statistics here as well. That rain event that happened between the 11th and 14th, plus or minus a day or two, generally just north of Cadillac, those amounts for a 3-day period were had about a 1 to 2% chance of happening on any given day, any given year. So a very low probability, but realistically, that's even lower when you factor in this rarely ever happens during the March-April time. This is typically more in the summertime. So that 1 to 2% is really like a 1 in 50 or 1 in 100 year flood. But again, because the soils are so saturated, that really magnified the impact that we can see. Let's see what else I can give you here that's kind of interesting. Full precipitation from March through basically now April, something like 14 to 18 inches across the county, which is about 9 to 12 inches above average overall. So it's just a significant amount of water. I talked a little bit about that 6 plus inch event in mid-April there. Here at the Cadillac Airport, we did record around 5 inches for that event, and just to the north was 6 to 7 plus inches. and then ranks #1 for a 3-day period.
in that people times, but
Really some records began in 1909.
so
You know, it's no wonder this flooding was so historic with how saturated the soils were, how active and patterned, and how anomalous that mid-April rainfall event was. So I'd be happy to take any questions at the end, obviously.
whatever it may be.
That's basically the recent analysis, how active that's been, trees falling, and the resulting flooding.
Thank you for that update. So, like I said before, we're still in the response phase with this. I've been working day and night, hand in hand with nonprofits, Salvation Army, American Red Cross, working resource requests, bringing in Army Corps of Engineers, etc., for this event across the county and here in the city. On April 14th, I also recommended to the Judge and Board of Commissioners to Webster County that we declare a state of emergency and also submit equipment requests to be Sorry about that. So, what I'm saying is, on April 14th, I recommend to the Board of Commissioners, Webster County, that we do a local state of emergency and we request a state governor's, state of emergency declaration. So with the next steps from response, as we transition to recovery, that first I want to highlight that that's not going to be until things dry out. There are several nonprofit agencies that we can bring in, requests that come in, to do everything from clean outs to taking down drywall, etc. But many of these nonprofits won't even come in until the homes are dry. So we won't know the true nature of the impact until the water is used. We continue strongly encourage residents to report damages to 211 and the Michigan State Police self-damage reporting tool, which can be found on Webster County Emergency Management's Facebook page. But real quick, next I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Castro from the Michigan State Police.
Good evening. I'm Lieutenant Mike Castro. I'm with the Michigan State Police. Many of you probably know me because I went to high school with you. I grew up in Cadillac. My career started at Webster County Sheriff's Department. I worked there for 3 years, and I've been engaged myself. I've been with the state police for 31 years. My wife is also from Cadillac, so Cadillac is in our hearts, truly. So me, being with emergency management Homeland Security, I kind of want to explain our role in this as well. We are mainly, I've been in my role for 11 years, so I really enjoy it. I've been stuck in a lot of disasters, from flooding downstate to Gaylord tornadoes to the Midland Dam failures. So I've been involved in a lot of disasters which require a lot of resources. So essentially what starts out is Eric contacted me about what was going on with the situation. I was kind of embedded in Sheboygan, working at the Sheboygan Dam there, and he said things were getting really bad. So I kind of left there, came down here to kind of see, like me knowing the normal flooding areas. He said it was bad, so I'm thinking it's the normal Cadillac flooding areas. And then, of course, I made the remarks when you tell me it was really bad. I've never seen anything like this. You know, I come down here, my parents are still here, my in-laws are here, and I've never seen flooding like this in my entire life in Cadillac. And I know it impacts people, and it's, you know, I'm fortunate that I changed my career where I'm going in a mode where I can try to help people versus writing down a ticket and making them upset with me. But at the state role, and I want people to understand, everything starts at the local level and ends at the local level. So as Eric works with the community and his municipalities to gather resources, he tries to get those resources local. As soon as he cannot get those resources, that's when he starts asking the state for help. And that's why we get the governor's declaration where I can use state resources to start asking for those additional things like engineers, Army Corps engineers. We also have access to NDOT, State Health Department, and also we get a lot of volunteer resources like food, water, and stuff that can come in the area that need it. Those are things I have to know from my emergency manager. I cover a 17 county area, and out of that 17 county area, 16 of them have a state declaration right now. So I'm kind of spread thin, one person covering the tip of the net. I do have some additional district coordinators that are helping me in my area that are around the state. But the big thing is trying to manage the response right now. So we're still kind of, once that life safety, we don't have to go in and pull people out of their homes, making sure people are not in their homes. Then we start dealing with the response. And then making sure that we have the equipment. I.e., could be heavy equipment, it could be materials, could be generators, those types of things, so that the county and the city can have a response to those problems so it doesn't cause additional life safety issues. We do know that it's going to take a while for the water to recede to see the true impact, especially to the roadways, people's homes that people are displaced. And I know initially on the first day I was here, there's some homes you see the water line, the window line, right up to the windows, so we know that people aren't living there, that they were actually displaced. And so what we do is we'll continue into this response phase, and then we start working on recovery where we'll go around and do damage assessment. And that's why we encourage people to get in that self-reported camp if you can, because that gives us a bird's eye view of where we need to go to talk to people. And that's information that we send to FEMA because there's certain thresholds that we have to meet to get a FEMA declaration. If we don't meet that threshold, then they won't be coming to the area. And I think a lot of people are like, oh, I got it. It's under control. We still want to know. We still want to know your damages, even if you claimed it on yourself. We encourage people, if you are already fixing your homes, save your receipts, take lots of pictures, maintain that stuff, that information in case we do get that FEMA declaration. We also bring SBA in the area too, as well as an extra support in case we don't reach that FEMA threshold. SBA has lower thresholds that can also help people with low interest loans, and we know that sometimes people don't want low interest loans, but that might be your only help available. And then as we also deal with the recovery stage, we like to talk about volunteers, and we want to make sure if you're receiving volunteers at your home that they're actually coming from a vetted location. And it's usually going to be the Salvation Army or the Red Cross. Because in times of need, you're always going to have somebody that's going to come over here and take advantage of the need. And it's happened a lot. Daily tornadoes, you have people asking for $1,000 deposits, cash. They take the money and they drive away and never come back. And, so they're taking advantage of people. And they'll do it in every location that there's an emergency. So make sure, we'll try to probably make sure that we're pushing it out via Facebook or social media, that we're going to have volunteers start going out. But it's really going to be based off of need first. So we want to tackle those areas where people can't do it themselves, or i.e., they're disabled, or they just don't have the money to do that. They can't hire somebody to do it, or maybe they just don't have the ability or the knowledge. So we do have those resources that will come in eventually at some point that will do that. Let's see if I can read my notes, my old guys here. Oh, please keep an eye out. I know there's a lot of misinformation on Facebook. Everybody else on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram. People put their mind out there and it might not necessarily be the truth. So we encourage you to look at the sources that you have. So whether it's the city's webpage, the counties, and our division, Michigan State Police and Emergency Management, Homeland Security Division has a webpage too that's pushing out a lot of the same information. I would try to keep your information located in those areas. Don't believe somebody that they heard something from somebody 3-4 times ago, because it might not be the truth. And I'll probably close in, if you are in need of certain resources and you don't have that availability, make sure you call 211. Try not to overwhelm the emergency manager with those calls. It's best to go to 211, see what your needs are. they document that information eventually gets back to the emergency manager and to us, so that way we can help people. Other than that, I'll be back, because I won't have a lot of time to make questions later.
Thank you, gentlemen, for the information that you shared. Again, we're going to have a substantial amount of time for Q&A afterwards, and you'll still be here for that. The next official that I would like to introduce and have come up is the Wexford County Drain Commissioner, Mike Sun.
Thank you. Everybody here? All right, I had two pieces of information. The first one is a graph of the flooding that has occurred. This is the month of April. And as you can see, 1st of April, we were at 1290.5, which is a half foot above the spring level. And we're always pretty good at that level. It went up 8/10 of a foot the first week, another 5/10 of a foot the second week, and then here's the jump 7/10 in a day, and then slowly started to descend. That's mixed Cadillac and neutral levels. Yeah. And just to put it into perspective, the court order of Judge William Peterson, 1967, set 3 levels. Maximum level of 1290.00, a winter level of 1288.9, 1.1 feet below the maximum, and then a summer minimum of 1289.7, which really has very little merit. We keep it at 1290 as long as we can, and then evaporation takes it down eventually. Most summers the 1289 or below. Since 2000, there has been only one summer that we could get the lake levels down to the winter level of 1288.9. I think that's critical. And it happened to be 2007. And interestingly enough, even though we got it all the way down to winter level, that was the previous year of the maximum flood event, which was 1291.5, foot and a half above the summer max, spring max. Weather Bureau has gone over this. The city of Cadillac measured 11.21 inches of precipitation through yesterday. And that's 3 1/4 times the average monthly flow. And I think I just looked at the March level and that was 4.5 or something. So we're somewhere between 15 and 20 inches, just depending on where you are. The lakes peaked at 1292.55, which is a full foot above the previous 2008 level. 2008 was a summer storm. It was June 18th. And, our soils could absorb a lot of it. The lakes went up, and we turned quicker than I think we're going to have this time. The lakes have dropped 4/10 of a foot, so about 4.8 inches since it peaked. The previous flood of 2008 took 6 weeks to return to 1290, or what we expect as a high peak. So if we put in the perspective that we've got saturated soils and another foot of water, this is going to be a long-term event, which none of us wants to hear. For those of you who have been curious, the dam has been open for almost 6 months now. So it's been wide open for that period of time.
The dam has only 2 gates, and it's approximately 20 feet of opening. And we've got to pass 4,000 acres of lake and probably 30 to 40,000 acres of saturated wetlands in back of Lake Mitchell. So this is going to be a process. We've also got several structures that impede the flow of water when it leaves the lakes. Includes the Chestnut Street culverts, the Clam River Dam, and the Hamm Street Bridge. They've all been overtopped at this point, with the Clam River being the most restrictive of those. But we've also, when we go downstream, we've got the Lake Street Bridge that was up on the girders on that. Mitchell Street Bridge, it was about 10 inches up on that. 13th Street Bridge only has about, or culvert only has about 3 inches of clearance. I'm going to read a couple things. I asked a hydraulic engineer that does our dam inspections every 3 years as required by EPA. And I asked him, while we had this high water, let's do some analysis of it. And he made 2 observations which I think are pertinent and interesting. I don't like to read, but I'm going to. From a quantitative standpoint, Lake Cadillac and Mitchell experienced a rise of about 2.1 feet in the month of April. Maintaining the April 1st water level throughout this period would have required more than doubling the capacity of the existing dam. So, I think the city and the county are going to have to do some engineering studies and determine what we can. But that's pretty spectacular when you have double the capacity of your basic infrastructure. An indication of the magnitude of the inflows experienced during this event and the limitations of the existing river system. I bring this. And the second one is a key hydraulic constraint is the backwater effect created by downstream conditions. And I cited some of those. The capacity of the river is influenced not only by the dam, but also channel geometry, slope, structures such as bridges and culverts. There's been an old study on the Clam River which indicated it is woefully inadequate of handling flood flows. The downstream controls limit how much additional discharge of water can be conveyed from the lake, even under a hypothetical scenario where the Chestnut Street culverts and the river dam were removed. Discharge from the 2 lakes could be increased somewhat, but would still be limited by downstream restrictions. So this is a bigger problem I think than we initially felt it to be. So I will be available when it comes time to question. These 2 fact sheets are available in the back for anybody who's on the script or wants to look in the packet. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. The city also has uploaded the documents to a special flood resource page that you can find off of our website, which is www.cadillac.mi.net. And I'm sure that it'll be eventually on Facebook and on the Facebook resource page as well. We'll learn a little bit more about. At this point, I'd like to introduce our Public Safety Director, Adam Acheka. Adam is the department head of the city of Cadillac, responsible for police and fire department operations. Yep.
Good evening, everybody. I wanted to take this moment to kind of go over some updates for our local police and fire departments. Our fire department flooding response to date, the Cadillac Fire Department has not had a gap in our 24/7 coverage for both the city of Cadillac and Pine Lake Township that it provides fire protection services. Our fire marshal has been reassigned to assist other departments in the city. during these floods. He took consumers areas of flooding for them to make determinations on electrical hazards and shut-offs. He assisted in the sandbagging and damming of critical infrastructure. Our fire department has gone door to door checking on residential areas that power was turned off, and a concerned citizen reported that there were a lot of elderly residents in that area. They have physically delivered medication to an elderly resident in need. Off-duty firefighters came in and assisted shoring up the lift station. Through our emergency manager, we activated a mutual aid task force utilizing nearby fire departments to obtain hoses needed to move water away from flooded areas. A special thank you to Cherry Grove Fire Department who came in and tarped the sand berms when we were expecting additional rain events. Police Department flooding response. Cadillac Police Department has not had a gap in our 24/7 coverage to our residents. Our police department has responded to disabled vehicles in flooded areas, suspicious persons, suspicious situations regarding floods, people's property, people are driving around road closed signs. Cadillac Police continue to investigate these incidents. Please be good neighbors. If there is something suspicious, report it to us. We encourage the public to help us when we see something to report it to us. I'd like to remind everyone that while the roads are closed during our investigation, we've had residents, contractors, insurance adjusters, and emergency vehicles that have been trying to get through to people's houses. I'd like to remind everybody that as of this point, there has not been a mandatory evacuation order issued by our emergency. I have personally been cursed out the other day when I drove around the road close sign when I was heading to an area that sandbag waters along the lake shore to help prevent further damage to properties. Any concerns or reports need to go through dispatch just so that a number can be generated and assign the appropriate agency to respond. Please do not report through social media or by calling the first responder that you may know. This will actually effectively delay a response. So that's what we'd like to encourage everybody to do. And again, a special shout out, our mutual aid task force, our emergency manager was able to get the hoses needed for our water department to get the flooding out. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam, for the updates. The next official that I'm proud to introduce is our Director of Utilities, Jeff Dietland. Jeff is going to provide some stats and some information about the city's response. Jeff?
Hello, everybody. I have a little timeline of what we did, what's happening after the timeline. I'll tell you what we're currently doing and what we expect to do in the future. The week of the 13th through the 17th, before all this happened, we were out at various lift stations pumping water around. Our various storm ponds. Our storm ponds were full on 6th Street. It was full on 13th Street. Both Kenwood and Easton storm ponds are soaked away. They were all right. So we're pumping the two lift stations that we do have pumps in to pump around. Lake Cadillac continued to rise. There was notice that there was water flowing behind Temple Hill Baptist Church, Salisa Road on Saturday the 18th. The high lake water had found a path from North Boulevard to Chestnut Street and continued going forming the river behind the Caps Early Development School there and went to the East Lift Station. As we noticed that water flowing there, we went to the roads and some of the storm drains had leaks on them. We actually opened those storm drains to allow more water, quicker access to the pond at Easton. Part of the reason the storm pond is there because our lift station is there. Our lift station is at that point because we use gravity throughout the system to take us to a low point. So all lift stations are at low points of the system. And then we pump the sewage up from the low points to another high point and we start flowing again. So we have a lift station right by the Lisa Pond. As we noticed this, the surrounding homes from the water, from the flowing from Chestnut, we saw that they were starting to be overrun. And then the Lisa Pond was actually filled and it was coming off the road to the Lisa Pond. Around 7 o'clock, we went there and started sandbagging the lift station and putting up berms around the lift station. First to protect the generator and then to protect the whole building. We built berms with a found to hold the entire structure with a backhoe and tractor, and personnel stayed the whole night monitoring the situation. Sunday, the next night, or day at midnight, water still continued to rise. The water got so high it prevented us from getting in to shore up the berms. About 5 o'clock in the morning, a car went right through the road close sign, made a great berm, came and waved and it hit the berm and we the berm even further. About 6 in the morning, we lost the berm. It was breached and the whole structure was flooded. The transformer flew and we started making calls to contractors. We started hauling in sand, we started rebuilding the berm. What people don't realize is that structure is at ground level. There's 2 stories below that in the structure. So we had water about my hip deep on the main floor, and we had 2 floors down, so we had to pump out. We sandbagged the whole thing again. We actually went in, assessed the damage while we were still pumping out. We began pumping out the dry side of the lift station. 10 hours after the initial berm failed, we got into the second floor. We were down the second floor where the motors are, and we started working on the motors of the lift station. We still had water at the bottom. It was raining from the top, and we couldn't stop the water coming in. And we're down there working to get a pump up and running. One of the motors was able to be field repaired. We have 3 motors down there, 3 pumps. One of them we were able to repair on the spot. We got it dry enough, we put electric to it, and we started running. 14 hours after we lost the berm, the initial berm, we had the lift station up and running again. 1 pump. Marcus at that time said, let's tell everybody we got 1 pump, we can start using the sewer. I said, let's not. Let's hold off. No. And so we held on. I said, let's catch up a little bit. We only got 1 running, I don't know if we're going to lose the berm again. Let's not get excited. My personnel worked around the clock, making sure the pumps ran, making sure the pumps pumping up the water ran, making sure the pumps, all the well pumps were running, keep the generators running, keep the pump filled with gas. The waters on Monday still rising. We told the public at that time, hey, we got 1 pump running, limited use of sewer. Sandbagging continued. We still continue calling in the sand. We made the berm bigger, wider, taller. Every time you go up, you have to go wide. We're building a berm in water, and it's very unsolid. We still don't know if we're going to lose it or not. One of the flooded motors that we had, since we had 1 motor, we removed one of the motors, and we actually sent it in for rebuild that day. We ordered a new motor to come in. Then we had a person that found one someplace, and it was actually shipped, and we got it later on. We ordered a new motor just in case the rebuild one wasn't working. And we continued monitoring around the clock to continue with my staff. I only have, in wastewater, there are only 6 guys. And there's a supervisor, and water supervisor, supervisor. So that's my staff I have. And if you work 24 hours a day, guys out there 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, you do all the people of Cadillac should be proud of what they have. I mean, I'm proud of my guys. It's all done. They did all the work. So we're working around the clock. Tuesday, the 21st, water is still rising. Homes and businesses, we see our flood across the way. Our rebuilt motor was brought back to us, and we reinstalled it, and we started pumping right away the next day on the 21st. An additional motor, we had 3 motors, the additional motor was taken out to be pumped. Again, not sure if the berm's gonna hold. We got 2 pumps running. Old Marcus go and tell the public, which he was more than happy to do. That tell them that 2 pumps are running now, but still, please don't use the, be careful using it because we have flood water there. And we continue monitoring around the clock. On Wednesday, the next level peak. All right, we had the Army Corps of Engineers come and they did survey for us. And, I had to have I don't know what I'm doing here. I've never done a 1,000-year flood or whatever this is. And I'm just doing what I think is right. And so ask them, are we doing what's right? And they say, yep, you're doing what's right. At 3 o'clock, they came back with some suggestions. One of and our DPW, they helped us and we started building a berm behind Kenwood School because we're getting lake level water still coming in, still building the sand higher, still trying to keep the water out, and we started pumping the water from the Lisa Pond. We found a way to pump it to the 6th Street Pond, which we had emptied the week before we had been emptying. So we had a room in it and we started pumping it. And the storm pond stabilized and then it started to fall. The wet well, our wet well where the sewer is, it actually started to fall, but every day it come back up. When people use the water during the day, it comes up and then at night it starts to fall. But every day we're gaining a little bit more, and that was the 2 pumps running. And we continue to monitor around the clock. On Thursday, we started excavating around the building because, again, it's still raining inside. The water's seeping through the sand, so we have to move the sand back from the building. We put some sump pits in. They call them Kelly drains. We actually started, it was an Army Corps of Engineers suggestion, we actually started intercepting the water before it got to the building and pumping that back over. Water levels in the pond continue to drop. We placed plastic over the top of the sand because we were expecting a storm on Friday, and we were afraid that the wet sand would just dissolve and we lose our berm and we lose the station again. Fire, as Adam said, the fire department helped us, several fire departments. We put plastic on it, we put sandbags on it. The wet well level continued to drop again, and we're making gains, and we continue to monitor around the clock. I think you guys here 24 hours a day, so we have something there all the time. On Friday, we reshored up the plastic. The dam in the road, we actually had a dam on the east of the road because it was coming up so far. They had rain the night before, we actually had to take that dam out to the water back into the flood area because we're flooding up the wrong side of the dam on the east road. The level of storm pond continued to drop. The wet well level continued to drop, and we were still monitoring around the clock, filling up the generators, filling up the pumps, and all that. On Saturday and Sunday, April 25th, 26th, monitoring continued around the clock, pumps were maintained, levels of the storm pond continued to drop. The wet well levels continued to drop to such a point that we could run 1 pump at a time. Two pumps that ran until, I think, Saturday, and then Sunday we got to the point where 1 pump would run and the other pump would rest, and then if the running pump would shut off, and then after the wet well filled up, it switched back and forth. We actually got the controls to work that would switch it back and forth on Sunday. On Monday, again, we're still maintaining all the pumps that's keeping the water out. The level of the storm pond kept dropping, and now we put the alarm system back. So now we have the controls operational to run the station. We have alarms that if we get something bad. And on Monday, we went out, as Adam said, to North Boulevard, and we sandbagged some of the way. We were, as people probably don't realize, all the roads around here are natural dams. They're higher than the lake. And the lake crested those natural dams, and it let water come in. Well, when the lake water went back, now these dams are exposed to holding the water back or forward, whichever side of the dam you're on. So we had 2 areas, North Boulevard, that was still in water, with how the sandbag goes, and we could start pumping the water back to the lake. Of course, Monday night we got the storm, and that went up the slope because on Tuesday I went out and water was running across North Boulevard. On Tuesday we went and we opened the roads around the lift station. At that time the pond, pond had been pumped down close enough that we opened the roads to Leeson and West Division around the station. On Wednesday, we started pumping chestnuts. So we went out today, found out that the North Boulevard and has made a natural barrier that now I can pump the Chestnut area. So we went over and started pumping the Chestnut area today, and there's actually a manhole there that we had to, it's a storm drain that the Kenwood Pond storm pond had fallen enough that we could take a manhole off the road and start filling that again. But we don't want to leave it overnight because again, we don't want to flood the station. Now, why would we have to direct route go to the leasing station? So we're starting to lower that stuff slowly, but we have to monitor it. Some facts Mike didn't say, Mike Solomon, and I'm a math guy. We're 2.5 foot above the high level. In Lake Cadillac, that's 1 billion gallons of water. In Lake Mitchell, that's 2 billion gallons of water. And then there's all the swampland that's up and beyond that. So that's just in the 2 lakes, there's 3 billion gallons of water that must go through the Dam River before we get to the high level for the lakes in the summer. So that's a lot of water. People don't realize how much water that is in those things. And I guess that's all my stuff right now, and I'll be here hopefully to answer your question.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Jeff, for that very informative update. And I think at this point, I just want to quickly point out other key staff that have been very instrumental in our response. In the back somewhere, I don't quite see him, is our Finance and Public Works Director, Owen Roberts. If you can raise a hand, thank you. Very, very helpful in making sure that we have what we need in terms of the response. It's not just the utilities department matter. We're all hands on deck. City engineering, Connie Boyce and Eric Seguin. I see Connie and Eric here. They're with Brian Newhoff. They've also been very instrumental in seeing. We've all met Adam Chepka, our Public Safety Director. Teresa Waldo, Community Development Director, is up in the front here. Her staff, Abigail and Danielle, are here somewhere in the back. They have been out doing door knocking and also very, very helpful in terms of your response. At this point, and also David Stearns, who some of you may or may not know, worked in the city for many years, retired, has come back to help us as well with the response. We're now going to segue a little bit into relief, assistance, resources. I'm going to introduce Kevin Hughes. If Kevin, you want to come up for a second? I see Kevin in the back with the health department. He's going to give just a couple of words, but basically we do have all of the information on the back tables, and it's all available electronically, but we wanted to make sure that people could sort of meet and greet leadership. Kevin?
Thanks, Marcus. I have a couple subject matter experts here, so I'll just be real quick. We have reached out, and Eric did too, to the state to see about getting some well sample kits for individuals that are private wells. They're considering that request. Hopefully we're going to hear about that by tomorrow or sometime this week. We have requested 200 sample kits. We've asked the state to waive the state sampling fee, and we've also asked for a courier to pick those up so that they get back to the lab deposit. So we'll wait to see what's going to happen. Once we hear on that, we'll let everybody know that communication. Yeah. So right now, I turn it over to Terry Felty, who's one of our sanitarians, and Will Parker, who's one of our holders.
Hello, I'm Gary with the health department, secretary. We have information. We have information you guys have with private water wells that were flooded out, and this kind of information on what you should do, kind of move forward on that. There's also information with your private septic systems that get flooded out. We have those plotters back there that can actually walk you through how you can recover from the flooding.
Hello, my name is Sheila Parker. I'm the clinical director at the health department here at Cadillac, and I oversee the communicable disease program That would include some GI illnesses that you can obtain from ingesting contaminated water. I also oversee the immunization program, so if anybody has any questions about important vaccines that you would be up to date with or might want to consider when dealing with contaminated flood water, we have a move in the back of the center, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this point in the agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about utilities. Utilities being natural gas and electricity. Our representative from Consumers was unable to be here in person today, but there are copies of information on the back table. And we'll also make sure that we get those copies online. The liaison did give me a couple of bullet points that I'm going to read. So for property that does not have power, but still has an electric meter installed on the outside of their building, there is no action to take to have your power restored. Consumers will restore your power when it is determined that it is safe for restoration. For property, however, that does not have power and has had their electric meter removed, which would have been removed by consumers, you have to follow these 3 steps. First step would be let the city know your power was disconnected at the meter and you'd like it restored. The general number for the city is 231-775-0181. Has to be connected to the community development department, or you can just walk in. Second bullet, city staff will assist you with completing a simple electrical permit application, since your property will have to get inspected since the meter was removed. City staff will help you essentially guide you through this process, and any and all fees will be waived. Third and lastly, an inspector will then evaluate your electrical system and will issue a green approved tag if the conditions are deemed appropriate to do so. Once that system has been deemed green tag, your next step is to call Consumers Energy at 800-477-5050 and just simply say you're calling to request a storm reconnect that will route you right to the right division and get you scheduled for them to come out. Chris Hackbarth with DTE is here to just talk very briefly about natural gas. Chris, thank you for coming out.
Thank you, Marcus. Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Hackbarth. I'm the regional manager for DTE here in Northern Michigan. Cadillac Lucky, we've got one of our service centers right here in town, so we've got staff located locally to respond to any concerns. Happy to report that throughout this situation, our gas system has remained stable and fully operational. We've had about 9 instances where customers have requested shut-offs or where we have water over their meter vent. Those are kind of the two things I want to mention as you're kind of keeping an eye on your system. As you look at your gas meter, there is a vent on the side of that. We want to make sure that that vent is not underwater. That is something definitely want to get a hold of us so we can get out there to get your water shut off. That's great. The other is please help us keep an eye out for washouts. If you're seeing washouts in roads, driveways, areas where a gas line is exposed, we need to know that. So that's something, again, always if you smell gas, please make sure you call public safety, call 911, call our gas lead line, 800-477-4747, similar to the consumer's number. But those are some of the key things to remember. But having to report from a gas standpoint, especially since we're in Michigan and things haven't really warmed up yet, we're small side. I'm still using my furnace, so knowing that we still got heat is important and is a good struggle. I'll be around if there's any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, we're going to dive a little bit deeper. I want to again announce the city's website. I think I said a dot instead of a dash, but it's www.cadillac-mi.net. And with that, I would like to introduce just very briefly Susan Rios and Chris Eastwood to come and talk a little bit about the Facebook group that they created to try to funnel questions and resources.
Hello. Chris, President started a Facebook group. I think you guys hear me. Yeah. We wanted to provide a clearinghouse of information to the public. Thanks. We are working closely with the city and the Salvation Army and other area organizations and agencies. You can find us at Cadillac Area Flood Response and resources on Facebook.
Sorry, what's
So anybody here wants to get an update?
I just wanted to say, reach out to me for one special page because there was calls for help that were getting lost in the other Facebook groups.
We appreciate it.
So,
Yeah, you guys are
you're welcome.
Thanks, great.
This happened in the morning on Facebook Messenger when we were venting about our own flooding issues. So we appreciate everybody's support and continue on to help everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Susan and Chris. At this point, I would like to ask Captain Greg Bach from the Salvation Army. You're up. Greg has been very instrumental, and please share your update.
Well, good evening, everybody.
Happy belated birthday.
40 yesterday. First thing I want to say is please hear this and hear it very clearly. If you have damage to your home, every speaker says this. If you have damage to your home or your property, please fill out the online self-assessment, the damage report tool. That's vital. Call 211 if you have access to that, or access to their event report that as well. Salvation Army, we got involved, we helped feed people, we got door to door. We have resources available. So hear me. You have resources available to you. Whether they are cleanup kits, whether they're mops, whether they're brooms, bleach, totes, we have those available. So if you can't afford them, don't go without them. We have to contact us. 775-7131 is our phone number here. 725 Wright Street, not the thrift store. 725 Wright Street, that is our building address where you can come pick those up. Or if you need those delivered to you as well, be more than happy to do that. Just message us on Facebook, Salvation Army of Cadillac, Michigan. Call the office. My personal cell phone is already out there, but I'm going to get you now. It's area code 563-261-4510. Text me, call me, whatever you can help. We're there. Right? We are in contact with the relief agencies who do what's going to help. As the emergency manager shared, I was walking around with one this afternoon, and they said that they will come once the water has receded and homes are dry. I know people want it like right now, and I understand that. We're in conversations with those people, and they will come once the homes are dry. I do want to say this. I think it was Maya Angelou that said, every storm eventually runs out of rain. Thank God. This is never out of rain. The water will recede, and we will get through this together. So if we can help you out in any other way, you let us know at Salvation Army. We were here when we began. We're here on the last day of the flooding. And the days, the weeks, the months, the years afterwards, your Salvation Army is here.
Thank you. Obviously the shortest one here. There's not a lot much more that I can say that hasn't already been said. The Red Cross has been active, anytime we've, working with the emergency manager, working closely with Salvation Army, making sure supplies are out there. We've got some stuff back there, if anybody needs anything, stop at our table, and if it's not there, we'll get it to you, or we'll get it to Greg, he'll get it to you. It'll get to you. The one thing I want to stress is that, yes, it's important to call 211. There's all these reporting agencies, but it's important that you call, that you report to all of them, and 1-800 Red Cross. We do have some financial assistance available. If your home is flooded, please call 1-800 Red Cross. Even if you call 211, even if you self-reported, you might as well utilize all of the resources that are out there. We want to make sure you're getting all the resources that are out there. And then also, in terms of Cadillacs, I cover 28 counties. I have you beat with 10 counties. I cover 28 counties, 20 of them flooded. This is the first one of these that we've seen, that we've been at. So a big shout out to Cadillac for putting this together. So thanks.
One last person that I wanted to acknowledge reached out to me in the thick of things and has been very, very, very helpful in essentially providing a framework and organizing groups of people that are trying to volunteer, be helpful, provide resources and assistance. His former council member Sherry Sloman. Sherry's here in the front. I don't know if we get what to say or not, but why would you say it?
Just a quick shout out for the Cadillac Area Community Foundation. Doreen Lance, who's the executive director, wasn't able to be here tonight. But the foundation really responded quickly and put some money into a fund, and so did the Cadillac Rotary Charities, so that there is emergency relief money that is available for any of you who have any needs that you're not able to take care of. It's not income-based. If you have a need, those monies are now being distributed through Love Inc. and the Salvation Army. And that fund is responsible for any of the dumpsters that you're seeing now out there, as well as a lot of other machines to come. Thank you. And you can donate to that fund. There you go. A lot of people, there's no public pages out there, but there's also this fund. And if you just want to help, a lot of people want to help. They want to give money. That's a great fund to get to do that to the community foundation.
Thank you to all of the officials this afternoon that have come out to provide updates and information accordingly. We are now at the point in our agenda where I would love to open this up for questions and answers. We have a wireless microphone that Owen Roberts, Finance and Public Works Director, has in the back. I will do my best when I see hands go up to the point, and then Owen will go over and allow you to ask the question. We have leadership here that will do best to respond. Owen, let's sit right there.
All right, great. I'm going to start by making two questions that I heard that thought would be valuable. So one of those questions was, what do I do with sand and sandbags when I'm done with it? And someone else was still looking for some sandbags. So I think if there are those who have had sandbags and are done with them, they are able to take them back to where we were offering them free sand in the DPW garage. Just do in the bags. I think it's a great idea. And others, if they need them and they go there to fill some and they see some already filled, we'll let them just take them. So that was my question. The other question, you mentioned the dumpsters, and the question was, how do I know where to put them? So there's a couple of us driving around, usually in a city vehicle, or Greg in his Salvation Army vehicle. Get out and walk. If we see you kind of working, we'll probably walk up to you and just say, hey, you guys need a dumpster? And then we'll place the dumpster as quick as we can in that neighborhood. So If you have to agree to get rid of, you can just either stop down at the city hall, or if you see us out there, flags down, or we'll come up and talk to you and say, you know, our neighbor could use a dumpster here, because there are more of those out there, so I wanted to do that.
1001 6th Street is the public works garage.
Hi, I have a question for Mr. Castro. It was on the top of that page. It's the Michigan State Police Self-Reported Damage Assessment Tool, which is in the newspaper. I looked at that, I counted up all the characters and punctuation marks. There are 98 characters to type into your computer to put up a picture and report, which is ridiculous. Can you find a shorter way to do that?
I can see if there's a way they can make it shorter to link for the people, but the people plans to do it. I hope you are, if you do have access to the internet, if you go to either Eric's site or the Michigan State Police or anything.
Can you repeat that louder?
I'm sorry, what?
Can you say that louder, please?
So if you go to either Wexford County Emergency Management site, if you just click on it and refills it, opens up a new web page for you with everything, so you don't have to type that whole thing out. The same things on the Michigan State Police Emergency Management Homeland Security site too as well.
Okay, I need to write that down. So please.
Well, the easiest one will be Wexford County.
So the easiest site to go to would actually be the city site, www.cadillac-mi.net. Now we're going to write that down for you. We have a link on our site embedded as well. You just click it where it says self-assessment.
No, thank you very much.
The other thing too is if you don't want to fill it out online, or you can call someone and they'll fill it out for you.
Well, we want to put a picture, so we need to do that.
We understand that. The reason we use that as a tool is for us to go someplace, and that when we go around and do damage assessment, we'll be taking photos as well.
And one more good question real quick, dumpsters. I'm not driving outside of the city, so if you're in the Lake Mitchell area, I would recommend that you get a hold of probably Greg's organization. He and I are kind of working together with the little team that he has. So if you're outside of the city limits, you won't see me, but go ahead and call Greg at the Salvation Army if you need a dumpster. That was a good question.
I just wanted to let the woman in the audience, anybody else that's here in the audience, if you want to stop into the city, we have staff and people that can help you with that on the internet. So we can help you upload those pictures, if you've got them on your phone and go there to really to help. Our hours are 9 in the morning till 5, Monday through Friday.
Okay, I have one question. My place is perfect flooding. I have my son on running, it's running really good. The thing goes bad. But I was wondering when constantly, I know it really started but when will the water table near Chestnut Street or in that area, will the water table start going down? Because this is something I can't.
Marcus, yep. Oh, yep. Thank you.
I'm trying my best here. Can't give an exact value. Unfortunately, the larger body of water, the longer it's going to take to respond. So, lakes are larger than the Manistee River, the Manistee River is larger than the Clam River. So the Clam River is going to respond at a much quicker rate, essentially. Now, the lakes are going to take a lot longer. And we're seeing this up by Mullet Lake in Sheboygan County, where they're still 2+ feet above their record level. So it's a very long and slow process. The weather has to cooperate as well. We're going to be in a cool and relatively active pattern over the next couple of weeks, maybe through early to mid-March. take quite a bit of time, so it's on the order of probably at least weeks, I would think. I don't know your specific location, obviously, but it's gonna take time.
Thank you, good question. If we could just, I'm not gonna shame anyone, but in the back, if you're talking, if you could just keep it down a little bit, it makes it a little bit difficult to hear, so I appreciate that, thank you.
Thank you. My wife and I, we own a home on West Lake Metro. And many of our friends live off of Lake Metro as well as have taken advantage of many of the programs that have been talked about today. I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I want to say one thing. First of all, I would like to thank all of the government agencies in the Cadillac area that have helped to support the area. There's no question about it. My wife and I own our home on West Lake Mitchell. Many of the families on West Lake Mitchell are buying bags of sand to try to keep the water out. I live on an area, in fact, the home that we own right now has the highest elevation on West Lake Mitchell, the highest. And I'm getting water, thank God I don't have a basement. I'm getting water in my lower level right here, and I'm here for that reason. Depending on where the wind blowing on West Lake Mitchell, we got to worry about water coming into our property. Just the last couple of days, the waves were coming up right to our house because it was coming out of the north to our direction. My biggest concern is people are taking advantage of this. I don't know what's going to happen. I want to thank all the government agencies that have been involved with this. We need your help. We need your help, period. And all I can say is, I want to thank everybody that has taken care of what they can. And please help our neighbors. We got homes that are flooded. And like I said, I got the highest elevation home on West Lake Mitchell. But that doesn't make any difference. We got homes that are flooded, and people are buying sandbags, and they need your help. So please stick with them. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lisa Avenue. I moved our house from the south, or the station, like you call it. I just bought my home in December. I've even been in here for 5 months. You guys are talking about water buildup. What about sewage buildup in your basement? It's about maybe, because I'm 5'7". I think on average we're anywhere from 6.5 to 7 feet of sewage in my basement. That's what came in first. Then when you guys started doing these sandbags and the sand stuff around the lift station, then the water started being pushed in. It flooded the whole backyard, front yard, started going down the street. What are you guys going to do? Because I'm a limited income. My husband is a truck driver. He doesn't make a lot of money from Social Security. That was our dream home. I can't live in that house anymore. I have asthma, heart problems, and other health conditions, a low immune system instead. I have to eat certain types of food because I'm allergic to everything. How are you guys going to help us? Because we can't pay for somebody to come in there and clean that home. I can't even go in that home. So where do we go? What do we do now? I'm at a loss. I can't live in a hotel. Nobody's paying hotel bills. I'm at $1,200 for hotel bills. So I have 2 dogs that are with me. So who is going to take care of us and what we have lost? The insurance company hasn't, because the insurance company is telling us, well, we might be only be able to pay you $5,000, but we can't go into your place until it is pumped out or until it is cleaned out. This is a hazmat situation in my basement. I can't open that door without choking to death and having to run outside. So where's my help coming from? Who's going to pay my bills to get this done?
This sewage thing all the way out.
Sewage started first, not the flood. Sewage started Sunday morning. So I guess what I want to know is, when you guys, station got compromised with water, did you guys shut down the pumping station where it stopped it from pumping, where it was back up in people's homes? Because it's backed up in ours.
Jeff can try to clarify the how and why you got the sewage. Regarding access to resources to help you with living in your home, restoration, cleaning out. There are some folks here tonight that can help get you in direct contact with those resources. So it's imperative that before you leave, go to the tables in the back. Red Cross is here, Salvation Army is here, and they'll do everything they can to get you connected with people that can help you for the issues that you mentioned regarding the access to resources that you need. But Jeff, do you know what's the about the suit?
Yeah. First of all, sorry, we lost. What happened, as I said before, we had burned up the lift station. And I know Sunday we lost the lift station. The lift station has a dry side and a wet side. All right, both sides were compromised. So when I said we went into the dry side and tried to pump it down to get the pumps and everything going, there's a pipe that goes to the wall, and there's a wet side. The wet side is this tall too. When the water goes, everything gravity feeds to that station, and then the pumps pick up the water. When that wet side was compromised, all that storm water went down 2 stories. It flooded it all, and it pushed water back up the gravity pipes. And that's what came up. You're right, in the sewer, it was storm water. Everything came back up when that station flooded. Right? So it wasn't, you probably saw great when it happened.
Sunday morning.
Yeah, Sunday mornings when we lost the station. 6, 5, 6, yeah. That's when we lost the station. And that, again, we had water this high, 3, 4 foot outside, and it all went down, 30 foot down to the bottom, and it filled up that whole wet side. All that pressure just drove water up the gravity sewers, and it came up people's house.
It came up our street.
It came up everything. And anything that was below that level got flooded.
This came up the basement, see it?
What?
The sewage came up.
Oh, I'm sure. Below the pipes, there was a lot of pressure there. If the drains are open now, again, all the pumps are running and cycling everything. That should be down to what, I don't know what level, you haven't gone down there.
Well, we're about to, you guys, we're about the first step, this bottom. We still got the stuff floating around in here.
Yep, and then you probably came out of your bathroom, toilet downstairs, your sink, just your sink or whatever downstairs, up that. So it's only gonna go down to that level, you don't have a floor drain. We don't have to pump it out, but it will go down the things now. And as Mark said, there are agencies that help get somebody in there clean. It will be up and running, but you guys probably were the first affected because that water, it floated and whatever you guys do it instantaneously. There's a lot of that happens. I can't help you people that have this. And that's one of the reasons we had to get that station back up running so quick. I haven't done the number, but I would assume there's 800 homes, 900 homes that go to that. They could have all been flooded. So we had to get that station up. And the ones that are closest, the ones that are low levels, those are the ones that are going to be affected first and get the sewer backed up in their house. So we got that station.
So how do we prevent this from ever happening again?
Well, hopefully we don't have 1,000-year flood again, but what we're going to do, we're going to berm around the station in different ways. So we're looking at maybe doing a berm that will keep the lake water back to the lake because they went over the roads and came over. So after the fact, everybody I talked to in Cadillac, nobody remembers the storm like this. You know, I've only been here 30 years. I guess
I'm
the
not
rest
originally from Cadillac.
What?
I was living in Gilman, so we moved here. That's where it was.
I've been here 30 years. Nobody, all the old timers I talked to, nobody remembers this storm. So hopefully it doesn't happen again, but it could happen next year. So we're going to go.
Does anybody want to buy a home? Take that property?
Great.
Who's next? Anyone else have a question?
So I just want to address real quick. So those of you that have neighbors to your homes, remember, there's relief organizations that want to come to town. They want to help with the tear out of things, and after that, there's the rebuild of things. They have to wait for the water to go down. So everywhere before that happens. So, like to the lady that just spoke here, it seems helpless, but I promise there's hope, and help is on the way.
Agreed. Other questions?
We live on Chestnut Street, either Rose or we left our home to stay at a hotel. My husband came back. He went for some house. They shut power down for lower level. We were there till 1 a.m. hotel, and I said, I want to go home. I had to walk through the water on the sidewalk as the high-end body piece to get to my home. From the street, for those who, and I apologize for calling you looking loose, but who had to come by and look at the pictures, I was told our home didn't look that bad because the front yard was high. It was just the street inside. Our whole backyard was going out large. At one point, it had 2 feet of water in it, and now it's down to 18 inches. He is still fighting water out of the basement. Well, it's not really a basement. It's a family room. It's the lowest level of the house. It's got the utility room, and of course, the ranch part of the house in the front is crawl space, and that is what we're we're doing everything we can to keep things. We have air filters, we have everything going. Just want to make sure that we keep our health intact. That's basically it. I pray that individuals stop trying to go down Chestnut Street. We count all the authorities on 4 canes. And how those individuals by cars killed to drive down Chestnut Street. Please. You're endangering your lives. We don't want to see it. You don't complicated issues you want. But we just want to make sure that we're safe. Because we can't afford to dealt with, so we don't want to. I appreciate all of you going out for the years. I know it's a community. We'll get through this. We'll get through this. I was get on Facebook. I can tell you how much it means.
It's absolutely devastating. You're going through the folks that caught before you're going through it, and many others. And to that point, I just wanted to reiterate what we talked about earlier about the wake summons on Lake Cadillac and Lake Mitchell. It's important that we do everything possible to prevent additional lake water from spilling out into the neighborhoods. And just the same for people that are driving down the streets that are open, that may still have floodwater over the roads, you need to drive as slow as possible because your vehicle can also create a wake. And that wake will also cause more damage to adjacent properties.
Just one more reminder in the back, if you just keep it to a low, I understand people are leaving already want the information. You can just keep your voices as low as possible so we can get rid of them. Do we have other questions?
Have we discussed the week on Lake Mitchell yet and Cadillac, what the dates is gonna go from beginning to end yet?
The no wake zone on Lake Cadillac, I believe expires on May 7th. At that point, we'll reevaluate and can do another 2 weeks.
What is the historical? So Lake Mitchell is posted as of this evening. If there's no way to reach Lake Mitchell, that one goes for 14 days, so up to 13 May.
Till what time, Lake Mitchell, 13?
13.
13th May, okay, thank you very much.
I think that you guys have done a good job of explaining this to us. Marshall John telling us what's going on today. And then a poor job of telling us what's next. So the dumpster thing is great for Cadillac, for someone on the Cherry Road, and no action. Not really anybody to figure it out. Cherry Road said this week on the 9th, which is a response to that. So also, I heard nothing from the road commission. We know that a substantial number of roads are going to be wiped out when we do this. So how are we going to get it fixed? What do they do for prioritizing? And how do we communicate that to us? There's a lot of them on the lake that are underwater now, but for the start of conservation, they're going to be a disaster. Plus, a lot of the cities. So I'd like to see a little more forward thinking through these meetings. Tell us what you're going to do. Once there are steps, don't look here what happened in the past.
No, I appreciate your sentiments and comments. And, I think folks need to realize that, as we stated, we're still in this emergency. Things are changing day to day. The quick and easy, very short, what's next answer is restoration and cleanup. We can't get there though because the floodwaters are still in the areas. And the feedback at local agencies like Salvation Army and Red Cross and emergency management are advising is that the major nonprofits and folks that come in to do the restoration and cleanup won't do it until the floodwaters are receded. And so I will say that is understandable yet frustrating because there are certainly people that had homes completely underwater that need help, today. And the floodwaters in some of those areas have receded, whereas there are still some folks, just on Street 1 Boulevard, I'm speaking just from what I know within the city limits, that are still flooded. There's still water. So it's going to take time, which is why part of our mission this evening is to get the word out that everyone, whether you cleaned up or not cleaned up, whether you have flood water still at your house or you don't, you've got to call it in, you've got to report it. You have to make sure that your property pops and gets identified, and then that's going to help feed into restoration and cleanup efforts. That's it in a nutshell. I wish I had a time clock. I wish I could say, hey, it's going to start a week from tomorrow. I just don't know. We're going to wait and see folks at the same time, at least in terms of what we're doing within the city. We're looking to the best extent possible of continuing to prevent more water from coming out from the lake. If we can pump water, move water to other drainage ditches, areas to try to alleviate the pressure over roadways, that's something that we're going to continue to try to improve as well. Is there another question?
So regarding the dumpsters too, I think we touched on that a little bit, but feel free to reach out to the Salvation Army and they can assess where the trucks can get to a place so dumpsters, but I would imagine it would be fairly simple to get at least a few started out that way where it's dry enough to get a truck. So if you or your neighbors are in need of that Salvation Army number is right on there, right? Is 1-800-222-0700. this fund. You know, it's that fund that's at the community foundation, that's also matched by Rotary charities, and is eligible for some private donations. Those are the funds, or the Cadillac Creek Community Foundation and the Rotary charities, so. Yep. So I got a couple questions over there, one here.
Hi, I'll make it quick and easy. I'm on Chestnut Street. I'm just wondering, when was the last flood mapping or FEMA flood mapping done in this area? The last thing I could find was 1989 or so. That's some info on that. Can't find anything.
So I just got the nod from our drain commissioner to acknowledge that it's probably the last time we they flooded it.
It's gonna change. It's just gonna change it.
That would be a
So follow up to that gentleman that was asking about the dumpster and everything. So all of this information is collected, and because we've had a flood in the past in 2008, my question is, for preventive measures in the future, do we then take where we find our gaps and we update our procedures and standards and policies so that we can lessen these kind of exposures to us the next time we have this kind of emergencies? Because a lot of these infrastructure issues that we have, the failures that we have carried over decades. And I feel like the faulty systems in many of the last few storms and things that we've had aren't getting carried over. And obviously, whoever's in current administration always gets the blame, but the reality is it's been a long time happening to get us here instead of us always being in a put out the fire mode, run to that kind of way. If we are updating procedures, quality systems, seeing where our gaps are at these times, seeing what's missing, we're recording them down in the 211. Are we going back? We're doing the policies, procedures, updating the systems, and then even auditing the systems. Because I'm not on this situation, but I've looked into quality systems. It happens to be bad around mine, but and a lot of the procedures and policies that we failed to follow through on have come to haunt us decades later.
So I'm not certain exactly which policies and procedures we failed on, but we can talk offline on that. But regarding the sort of the aftermath of this historic event, we'll certainly know where areas have flooded that have never flooded before. It's also important to recognize as well that the infrastructure that we have in place was built obviously to certain specifications. Whether or not we would ever be permitted to have infrastructure in place that would accommodate this kind of a flood event, frankly, is unknown. But that is something that we're going to want to look at. As our drain commissioner mentioned earlier this evening, looking at whether or not an additional gate or two of the dam is even feasible will be something that I think we'll have to look at. But he also said, even if it's feasible to put in another gate system at the dam, the Clam River isn't big enough to accommodate all of the flow that will come through. So in terms of getting the answers, today, what we can do in the future.
I'm just asking that you have those and look at those. So what you're doing tonight, failure, risk analysis, all those things, that we're looking into those. Because I also looked into what the drain commissioner spoke on today, and I loved the information because it's exactly what I found. Except that, I also questioned things like, and I'm sure he probably has answers, but I question things like we pump in 7 million gallons of treated water every day from 3 different locations, the city of Cadillac, here in township, grounds. Are those regulated? Are those reduced during flooding issues during the springtime? For instance,
are working together as they used to, that's all. And I'm just saying.
Those are your comments.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, when we look at them, do we look at them and we say, okay, there's a failure here, we can't be perfect, you know, but there's a failure here, how are we gonna fill that gap for the next time? That's all I'm,
Well,
that's all.
your comments, I really do appreciate it. Then we'll have, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. This has been the worst natural disaster in this area in probably ever seen. We're gonna have to look at it.
Hi, thank you all so much for the meeting and for the conversation. Totally recognize you already have day-to-day jobs that require a lot of hard work. So just want to echo the two comments about with the emergency focus and subsides on looking for more proactive conversations or communication with the community. Clearly there's a lot of knowledgeable resource people who can help, such as the women who just spoke. So just wanted to see if there's any needs for future community tiger teams to help address some of these questions, to propose procedures or improvements, as surely you all are short staffed. And then also to see if we can have another community meeting like this in several months to hear the outcomes of this and what's next.
Great ideas. Please don't leave without maybe somebody here. You got it.
I have a quick question about surveys, and then I have a question about justice. My question about the surveys, I think it's the MSP one, is there an edible failure date? I don't know the image to my house yet, and I suspect it's going to be worse than I can tell you.
So usually once it's submitted, it's in place, but you can always submit another one and it just show us, if we don't have a different date, you can sort of show that it's an outdated version of it. And like I said, most of that's for us to give us guidelines, we're not wasting time and not knowing where to go. So as soon as you put in that survey, it gives us a point where we can go talk to somebody and you, if we're going around with FEMA, then we're at a point where we can go around and talk to people. And it gives us a good overshot of where the damage areas are.
Okay, then I live on Chestnut Street. When I say Chestnut, I mean the West Chestnut portion. Some of the people have mentioned spot between Lisa Avenue and the old Henry School. We have some clean water and some great days. When they start saying maybe, and then the dam and the Lake Learning Center, our water goes very quickly. We have a pump there as I have a hard time.
I know, I didn't hear you. If I could just kindly ask the folks in the back to be a little quieter, that'd be great. Did you just review what you mentioned about, you said dam and then I lost it?
So I live next to Henry School, old Henry School, like the Learning Center. The dam is at the back of our property line. We've not been able to pump our basement because it goes to our front. There's no place for the water to go. I've seen comments online from city council members that say we need to be aware of where we're pumping. All of our neighbors across the street will have to pump all their basements. We're in a bowl. It's just coming back over our samples. We cannot get to a point where we can get the water away from our basement windows so we can pump our basement. So I'm wondering, I know we have a pump as of 2 o'clock this afternoon, there's a pump on our side of the dam now to take it out. But my question is, do you have pump trucks? Can you bring trucks in to accelerate this process of getting this water out? Our street has flooded consistently with thunderstorms and rainstorms. They worked on the drain in 08. We've consistently reported that our road fills up when it storms from that drain. When workers come out to flush it, we tell them this happens every time. We flooded a little bit in 07 when the water main broke. In 08, we had the 3-day rain, we flooded 12 inches, and they worked on the retention pond. But it continued to be a problem of the road filling up to our driveway with every heavy rain. So it's not unknown or uncommon And there's a swamp behind those across the street from us. So is there something we can do in that area to contain the water before it gets to our street?
Well, great question, and I know you're your home, and I'm talking to you outside. We did put a pump in today to pump out from around. We are using a smaller pump because we don't want to get flood where when it's pumped out and the ground staying where we can. We went out, I don't know if you noticed, we went out, we actually, there's a manhole there that we were opening and we can actually fill the pond again. There's some room in the pond, we'll fill in that. We'll leave that about tomorrow. Yeah, it's probably running all day to get the water out there. As much as we can feel, we don't want to overfill Kenwood Pond. We are looking at, I was talking to our engineers earlier, we own where Kenwood Pond is, the city owns all the way up to Houston Street. So my recommendation would be, after this event, we look about expanding that Kenwood Pond north or that west. And since the city always has to enlarge that pond, I think that water table is very high there, and that's probably why it's a shallow pond. But if it's not that high, we also do big that pond also. So that's some easy one. But currently, we are working until yesterday, water is coming from the lake. In fact, the water on Monday we went out to the dam, put some berms up on the North Boulevard because I thought we could start pumping back to the lake. With the rain event on Monday night, I went down North Boulevard and I saw the water just running across the North Boulevard, going to that swamp on the beach that's on the backside of Chestnut, which would go to your house. And so we didn't pump on Tuesday. Today I went there and I saw that North Boulevard and Kenwood had made a road dam falling, and that's why we started pumping on your side of the bridge. We're trying to get that water down this way. Can we get trucks in? We can certainly look at that. I don't know where we truck it to, but we are trying to get it into areas that can take more water and can actually accept the water and go down. But we haven't been saturated. As we get areas that we can work on, we're going to those areas to work on. But we're not, we won't work on an area where the lake's active and just coming back in. That would just be a waste of our resources at that. But we are trying, I really feel bad for this situation, and I want to get these out as quick as I can. So it's not that we're not trying, it's just we're waiting for Mother Nature to give us the opportunity to get to those areas so we can start helping out.
So my question is, what can we do to brainstorm besides waiting? Have we talked to other towns who went through this situation? I talked to a friend who has a relative excavating on the fragments. They said, we have pump trucks. I asked them, can you come to my house and pump for me? And they said, well, the city has a truck, but we have to truck it to the MC to dump it into your sewage. This is what I'm asking. Can we rule in businesses, people? Can we go outside the box?
Well, we can go now at that, but again, Tuesday, after Blake water was coming across North Boulevard into that area, there was no, we would have pumped it out to the lake, would have disposed of it as fast as it could, until we get those damn propane out by the roads.
Yeah.
He's showing you that's what we really can't do anything to the area. Now that we have your area insulated, we can start working to those, get to that point where we can get pumps in there, get trucks in there, get something in there to move that water. But while the lake was coming in, there's really, there's not a lot we can do on that. But I'm trying.
We understand you're trying, we should have really do it. You talked to us a few times, we were growing with our you guys are working hard.
We're trying,
At this rate, knowing, I think we take out finish today on our, we call it our the area. We have sandbag, we have water between the sandbags and our home, that gets to be out between the mountains. At this rate, you can idea when that dam part will go down. Like, do you know, like, we estimate we have this much water, and at this flow rate, we can get it out in 1 day, 5 days.
I really don't get it. I want to use, currently we're using a smaller pump, we're bigger
line and half coming out, we want to make sure everything's contained, but we're moving the water to areas so we get it away from your guys' house. Everybody's house, that's not yours.
I had a question about tap water. Again, around the city water system, we continue to do our testing, everything is fine, it's been saturated in the city water system, around city water. You're very, very safe. I'm not private well. You got flooded. I didn't really want to do the testing, which you do with our lab, or have managed to do the test as well. The other question I had, she may have left, I forgot to ask it, was about testing the lake for swimming safety over the next couple of months when summer comes around. And we continue to do a normal series of testing of the lake. Typically that's for things like E. coli and things like that, where from time to time we'll have a sample and have to post that. We'll continue to do those tests as well for those bacteria and things like that. That regular plant will also contain my salmon also helps us slow that to safety. We do continue to do those tests.
Yeah, and we got a cooperative relationship with their state. We've got a cooperative relationship with their state university. The drain commissioner working with the city has done it for the last 20 years or so with their state.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, so this still be done.
Okay.
I think I saw this hand first, I'll grab 2 minutes.
I have seen tanker trucks pump out sewers. I live east, Sunside Drive on 150. When they first showed up, it was a reorder. And as soon as he got full, there was another one to take its place, so I'm assuming that it was an emergency at the time. They did that for 7 to 8 days. What my question is that all these tankers were of different companies. And I used to be a truck driver, I'm retired now. And I know in a state of emergency, all the rules and regulations go out the window, and you get the job done, whatever it takes. But none of these tankers have any placards on them, and what's being pumped out is toxic. And I'm just wondering where it's going. If the system is overrun now, so we're trying to pump it out before it gets to where it's going, are we just transferring the problem to a different location, or what actually are we doing?
No, great question. What happened was when the sewer system was overrun with water, the flood water at certain other areas, Lake Mitchell Sewer Authority, their water was having a hard time coming into our system. So they asked if they could pump all their water and transport it via trucks to the wastewater plant. And so that's where those trucks were going. They were actually pumping up. As the system stabilized, especially we had pipes and manholes, a lot of manholes in the swamps that were covered with 2-3 foot water. And so they were not able to get their sewer down the system, so they were pumping that up and transporting it to the wastewater plant, where it was treated and then released to the river. So it wasn't, though they might not have had the right plastics on, they were dumping it at the plant, and they were dumping it into EQAs and EQAs, and it was a transportation and it was one. So I hope that answers. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
No, the plant has, since this flood, we have been running above our peak capacity, which is nice to know, but we have not had a violation on any of our parameters. We did get close on fecal, and we turned on extra bank EV lights. And so we have not been violated because they make the all fit parameters showing up for the check. And so, no, they have not been overloading us with nutrients or waste. We've been overrun with water. It's just a lot of water coming from people, let alone the waste that we've been able to handle.
So my mother is at unreleased meeting. She got that full loss. The first floor is probably AC. So that can be announced. So the question is there a chance for people to come? Well, not just her, but the neighbor across the street, who's home also, I mean, it's not just water and waste, it was your housing action. Is there a chance for people to come in now? What are the chances?
So that's a question that I don't think any of us fortunately have an answer to. Is there a chance? Sure, there's a chance, but as our emergency manager and the county commissioner police are also in the office time to time, we have to reach a certain threshold of reporting in order to trigger FEMA to then respond to Cadillac. I don't exactly know what that threshold is or how far away we are from it. And that's why if there's a single table from tonight, we'll form the report and report. Yeah, you got it?
So that's why we urge people to, it's based off population. So each county has a certain threshold with individual assistance, which is the public, and then public assistance which would be governmental agencies as well. And then once you reach that threshold, and there's a statewide threshold we have to meet as well. Given that we have, I think, 42 counties with a state declaration, there's a high probability we could meet that threshold. That's why I tell people it's important to do that reporting. Now keep in mind, FEMA's not an immediate fix, and there's no mechanism in state and federal agencies to pay for private citizens to fix their own. It's usually by donations, volunteers, those organizations that usually have a hold on that you can reach out to to help. Okay? FEMA offers sometimes something monetary. But I can tell you this right now, it probably won't be enough to fix a whole home. SBA also has some resources as far as getting a low interest loan where you can actually, depending on the amount of damage that you have in your home, refinance your whole home along with the improvements at lower interest rate than what you would get at that. So there's certain criteria. Because it's a flooding incident, we have to wait to do our damage assessment until the water levels are safe so we can go door to door and start talking to people. And I want to emphasize this, is even if somebody, your next door neighbor did fill out a 211 or a damage assessment report, we still know the area where the damage is, and we go door to door down that whole street or that area. So we try to reach those people that maybe have not filed anything yet. So that's our goal, is to try to get that help out here for people if they can. But I try to look at in the light when we had the dam failures, I felt bad for a lot of people there because what they thought they were going to get and what they got were two different numbers, because there's just only so much that FEMA can give each people, each individual or each homestead. And then the other thing too is secondary homes aren't covered by that. So it's the reason it's set up that way is because you can't already have a home to go to. So a secondary home is not going to be covered under that. Do we take their values for that to show the impact? We absolutely do. But if it's a secondary home, that makes it clear to folks, especially if you don't have flood insurance. It's probably going to be on them or relying on help from outside. I hope that clarifies it a little bit.
Other questions?
Yeah, I just had a question about the flat room itself. I know years ago they
higher than it should be. And I've also noticed that there's a lot of debris that's part of this clear, so there's the basic debris, the trees, all stuff that fall in there, and fall into some spikes or whatever, but it seems like there's a lot of debris in the second of the rest. And also, I want to ask Mike, you said the last flood, 2008, approximately 6 weeks to drain out on the lot.
Well, Mike's coming up. I can't say actually all the debris is from the ice from that Audrey showed up. I'm sure some of it is from that. And know that other worse things will go out over the summer and help clean up the claims and do everywhere. So I assume there'll be a lot of debris this year to clean up. Mike, you want to try to this?
Yeah, we're on the 2008 flood. It took 6 weeks to come back to 1290. We're good at 1290.5 or something like that. But we're going to be looking at each of step map lines toward this report code or that. And at 1290, is that real late? Is that below the wall? That'll be 8 inches below your seawall. Yeah. FEMA was here after 2008, and they contributed a lot of dollars for a building, rebuilding the county. I don't think it's any damages in the city. Yeah.
Those of us that live on the lake are kind of receiving this point on the road are getting how are you going to prevent people from creating leaks? I don't know
I'm sorry, can you repeat the last one?
How are you going to prevent leaks from, like, how are you going to prevent those from making leaks?
Public information is the best, is frankly the best weapon that we have with that. And making sure people are aware that there's a no-wake zone out on Lake Mitchell and on the Cadillac. Yeah, and reevaluating where things are, at least in Cadillac on Grade 7. You can also look at, if you can get to a point where we reopen the public health launches, look at putting, a simple sign up. If it's still in effect, that means no wake zone, advising that if there's no leaks.
The enforcement of that, just to add, would be if there's something that are in the wake, would it be called language reported as a crime, or what's the reporting on that figure to respond to that question?
Go ahead.
So, yeah, all boat launches between Lake Cadillac and Lake Mitchell are either posted, no reports at the sign, or will be by the tonight. So, if you see somebody out there in a boat making a wave, trying to catch whatever, you can call it to central dispatch and non-emergency line and report that it's a violation. Otherwise, you're trying to catch carnival. Do your best to get contact with the same individual voters.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the non-emergency line at Wexford County Dispatch, which we know that number, it's correct, it's 779-9211 is the non-emergency number at dispatch to report someone making a wake and no wake zone, which that's up tonight is both Lake Cadillac and Lake Mitchell.
Lake Mitchell just had theirs determined to be a no-wake zone until I think it was the 13th of May. So we look around there, we know, when we're starting up, our lake is highly trafficked by people who come from out of the area who have no idea that we've had this flooding and that they should even stay off the lake. I mean, earlier this week, there was a plane doing touch and goes on Lake Mitchell. Really? So what is being done? Are there going to be signs posted
we don't have two executives, but they're out, I deal with, their report manager at Cadillac, their report, and discuss the seat point of the touching those. Maybe he's got a contact for that, and we'll let them know that for that over as well.
Thank you.
Other questions over here?
I think people are, you can't go to their homes, are we doing anything to give them shelter? And I just wanted to clarify about the girls going out there with placards. I did in Katrina back in 2005, and the rules are under emergency, they kind of go on the side. I wasn't pointing fingers and then watching them not doing what they should be doing. I was just curious. But do we have, like, there's empty buildings, can we place people on these? I mean, in a hotel or a motel, on a regular basis for weeks, if you're talking maybe months, that's a lot of money that we don't have. Just like this economy.
That's a great question. I do not know the answer to that. Empty buildings that you might be referring to, I would assume are all privately owned. We would need those folks to step forward and make that offer. If there is, that demand, that need, which presumably there is for some of the folks that are not able to save their homes because they've got, technical water and filthy sewage. There are other resources that are here this evening, that being Salvation Army, Red Cross, I believe there's information from Love Inc. that is here as well, that can help with temporary shelter. The Northern Michigan Community Action Agency also has headquarters here in Cadillac. That would be another agency that will make sure we have their information available online for people to tap into to get some help in terms of temporary shelter. I'm sorry? Councilmember French asked about Airbnb homes, which is something it's really interesting. We learned about this a couple weeks ago at a legislative luncheon by one of our legislators, that if you go to Airbnb.org, not .com, but Airbnb.org, they have a nonprofit, at least I believe it's a nonprofit arm of your company, that will give you a voucher to get complimentary temporary housing if you've been afflicted by a natural disaster. And that's why we have been advertising that link on various public releases as an option to gain assistance. Well,
I think, maybe before we lose everybody, let's maybe wrap it up and dismiss, and everyone here will be still available, I think, for questions.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to everyone that came out. Please understand that this is not the city or these organizations, providing lip service. We are genuinely just as devastated about what's happening as everyone here. Certainly, we cannot relate personally that what everyone here is going through in terms of losing homes, but we are here to do everything we can to bring resources to you to help. This is an ever-changing situation that we're going through. We are very much looking forward to this next phase, which will really be cleanup and recovery. We're getting these resources framed and getting information out. We encourage everyone to continue to look at your local media for facts and go to the various Facebook groups and pages that we have referenced for also up-to-date information as well. Thank you, everyone. I hope everyone has a good evening. We'll look at doing another town hall later this summer.